Welcome to NBA 5 on 5. This is your daily game summary and a daily leaders check in different segments of the game. So let's start with games. First game was Houston Rockets at Denver Nuggets, and Denver won 95-94. Now let's check. The game was fantastic, and the last second game winning block was made by Nikola Jokic, which made it even more interesting. Now let's check the summary of the quarters. First quarter, Houston 27, Denver 26. Second quarter, 20-20. Third quarter, 24 for Houston, 26 for Denver. And fourth quarter, 23-23. Now, let's check the game leaders in points. Nikola Jokic for Denver Nuggets, 28 points. Daniel Tias for Houston Rockets, 18 points. In rebounds, 14 Nikola Jokic for Denver, 17 Christian Wood for Houston. Assists, 6 for Will Barton from Denver, 4 for Kevin Porter Jr. from Houston. Steals, 3 for PJ Dozier for Denver, 2 for Daniel Tias from Houston. Blocks, 2 by Aaron Gordon and 3 by Kenyon Martin Jr. for Houston. Now let's quickly look at the team comparison. In field goals, the Denver shot 40.4%, 36 out of 89. Houston shot field goals 46.7%, 35 out of 75. In three-point segment, Denver shot only 22.5%, 9 out of 40, where Houston shot also a low percentage of 28.6, 8 of 28. Free throws, Denver shot 82.4%, 14 of 17, and Houston Rockets shot a terrible free throw percentage of 66.7, 16 of 24. In assists, both teams had 19 assists. Total rebounds, Denver had 42, 2 less than Houston, which had 47. Steals, Denver had 2 steals more than Houston. Denver had 10, and Houston had 8 steals. Blocks, 5 for Denver and 1 more for Houston, 6. Turnovers, the Denver turned the ball over 11 times, and here we see the Houston turned the ball over 16 times. And fouls committed, so the Denver committed 20 fouls and Houston committed 16 fouls. The game attendance was 16,046 spectators. Now let's just quickly give full statistic on Nikola Jokic. He played 36.22 minutes, had 28 points, had 14 rebounds, had 2 assists, had 2 steals, had 1 block, and had 5 turnovers, made 5 personal fouls, and was in plus-minus 7. He shot field goals at 60%, 9 out of 15, 3 points, 1 of 3, 33%, and free throws, 9 of 11, 81.8%, had 2 offensive rebounds and 12 defensive rebounds. Now, the Houston Rockets are 14th in conference with season score of 1 win and 8 losses, and they are unfortunately on a 7-game losing streak. Denver Nuggets are now 6th in conference and have a 5-win, 4-loss season score and are on a 1-game winning streak. Now let's go to the next game, which was Utah Jazz at Miami Heat. Utah Jazz lost 115 to 118. By quarters, it was quarter 1, 24 for Utah to 27 for Miami. Quarter 2, 28, 28. Quarter 3, 26 for Utah, 32 for Miami. And quarter 4, 37 for Utah and 31 for Miami. In this game, following were the leaders in different categories. So for Miami, the best scorer was Tyler Hero with 29 points. And for Utah Jazz, it was Donovan Mitchell with 37. In rebounds, the Kyle Lowry had 12 rebounds as a point guard. That's funny. And on the opposite side, Rudy Gobert had only 8 rebounds this time. So his average will fall down a bit. We'll see after if he is still leading the rebound category in the league. In assists, Kyle Lowry had 10 assists, Donovan Mitchell had 7. Steals, Royce O'Neal for Utah had 6 steals. Wow. And Bam Adebayo had 1 steal for Miami. And in blocks, we have Rudy Gobert with 1 block and Caleb Martin with 1 block for Miami as well. So, team comparison, in field goals, Miami Heat shot 60.3%, 47 out of 78, where Utah Jazz shot 51.8% field goals, 43 out of 83. In 3-point segment game, Miami shot 52.4%, which is 11 out of 21. And Utah shot 33.3%, 15 out of 45. Free throws, Miami shot 76.5%, 13 out of 17. And Utah shot 73.7%, 14 out of 19. In assists, Miami had 30 and Utah had 26. Total rebounds, Miami had 36, Utah had 31. Offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds, okay. In steals, Miami had only 3 steals, Utah had 10 steals. In blocks, Miami had 1, Utah had 3. The turnovers, Miami made 14 turnovers and Utah had made only 6 turnovers. And total committed fouls, Miami committed 18 and Utah committed 19. Now we have Utah at the second place in conference with a score of 7 wins and 2 losses in season on a losing streak of 1 game. And we have Miami Heat second in conference with the same season score, 7 wins, 2 losses on a 1-game winning streak. Now let's move on to the next game, which is 76ers at Chicago Bulls. 76ers won 114 to 105, and by quarters it was following. Philadelphia, quarter 1, Philadelphia 22, Chicago 21. Second quarter, Philadelphia 35, Chicago 26. So this is where the game was decided. The third quarter, Philadelphia 27, Chicago 30, and the fourth quarter, Philadelphia 30, Chicago 28. The game leaders for both teams were in points for Chicago, Zach LaVine with 32, and for Philadelphia, Joel Embiid with 30. In rebounds, Nikola Vucevic with 11, and for 76ers, Embiid with 15. Assists, Lonzo Ball had 5 assists, Tyrese Maxey for Sixers had 8. In steals, Javonte Green with 2 steals for Chicago, and Shake Milton for Philadelphia with 2 steals as well. Blocks, Derrick Jones Jr. had 1 block for Chicago, and Joel Embiid had 2 blocks for 76ers. Now let's see team comparison. In field goals, Chicago Bulls shot 40.2%, 37 out of 92. The Sixers shot 53.1%, 43 out of 81. In 3 points, Chicago shot miserable 24.1%, 7 out of 29. And 76ers shot a great 50%, 13 out of 26. In free throws, Chicago shot 80%, 24 out of 30, and Sixers had a similar score, 78.9%, 15 out of 19. Chicago had a total of 20 assists, where the 76ers had a total of 22 assists. Chicago had 46 rebounds total, the 76ers had 41 rebounds. Chicago had a total of 7 steals, Sixers 6 steals. Chicago made total 1 block, and Sixers made 5 blocks. Chicago turned the ball over 9 times, 76ers turned the ball over 14 times. And at the end, we have Chicago committing 19 fouls, and 76ers committed 22 fouls. The attendance was 20,936. Here we think that we did not give you attendance for Utah Jazz at Miami, which was 19,600. And for the first game, we already gave you attendance. Houston Rockets at Denver Nuggets, 16,046. Now the 76ers are first in conference with a score of 8 wins and 2 losses on a 6-game winning streak, and Chicago Bulls are now third in conference with a season score of 6 wins and 3 losses on a 2-game losing streak. Now let's move on to the next game, which is Boston Celtics at Dallas Mavericks, which ended in a last second by a 3-point shot made by Luka Doncic against 3 Celtics players, where the spectators went in delirium. The attendance was 20,052. So let's see how the game, the end score was 107 for Dallas to 104 for Boston. Now let's see the quarter, how it went in quarters. So first quarter, Boston 15 and Dallas 29, which is a 14-point difference for Dallas. Dallas kept playing. In second quarter, Dallas 28, Boston 25. And then what we have is that Dallas, in their mind, thought they already won, and that did not happen. So they lost to the third quarter 32-22, and they lost the fourth quarter as well. Boston had 32 and Dallas had 28, but Dallas managed to take the win. Let's see the game leaders in points. For Dallas it was Luka Doncic with 33 points, and for Boston it was Jason Tatum with 32 points. In rebounds, Luka Doncic had 9 rebounds for Dallas, and Jason Tatum had 11 for Celtics. Assists, Luka Doncic had 5 for Dallas, and Marcus Smart had 6 for Celtics. In steals, Kristaps Porzingis had 2 steals, and Jason Tatum had 2 steals for Celtics. In blocks, Dwight Powell had 3 blocks, and Jason Tatum had 1 block. Now, let's see how the team compare in different game segments. Dallas shot field goals at 52.6%, 41 out of 78. The Boston shot 48.8%, 42 out of 86. Dallas shot 3 points at a rate of 33.3%, 13 out of 39. The Celtics shot 29%, 9 out of 31. The free throws, Dallas shot 85.7%, 12 out of 14, and Celtics shot 68.8%, 11 out of 16. Dallas had a total of 19 assists. The Celtics had 20 assists. Dallas had a total of 40 rebounds. The Celtics had 36. Dallas had 7 steals. The Celtics had 6. Dallas made 6 blocks. Celtics 2. Dallas turned the ball over 15 times, where the Celtics turned it 11 times. And fouls committed, the Dallas committed 18 fouls in total, and Celtics committed 14 fouls in total. The attendance was at 20,052. Now let's take a look at the best player of this game and his statistics. So Luka Doncic played 35.04 minutes, had 33 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, shot the field goals at 57.1%, 12 out of 21, shot 3 points at 50%, 5 out of 10, shot free throws at 100%, 4 out of 4. Finally, he was struggling with the free throws, had 1 offensive rebound and 8 defensive rebounds, turned the ball over a lot, 6 times, but he was a lot double teamed. He was a lot in trap. So yeah, that's the point. Had a total of 4 personal fouls, and also leads the Dallas in category plus minus with 10 points. Now, the Boston are 11th in conference with a score of 4 wins and 6 losses on a 1-game losing streak, and the Dallas are now 3rd in conference with a season score of 6 wins and 3 losses on a 2-game winning streak. The next game is Atlanta Hawks at Phoenix Suns. Atlanta lost 117 to 121, and by quarters it was following. First quarter, 26 for Atlanta, 25 for Phoenix. In second quarter, 32 for Atlanta, 34 for Phoenix. In third quarter, 40 for Atlanta, 27 for Phoenix. And then the crash in the fourth quarter, the Phoenix had 35 points and Atlanta made only 19. So as we see, Atlanta is, they are on a 3-game losing path now, and they are a little bit struggling with the form and with the fluidity of the game, which we think it will come. But maybe we will add some analysis of Atlanta in the future. So let's see the game leaders by points. It was 31 for Trae Young in Atlanta and 38 for Devin Booker for Phoenix. Rebounds, Jay Crowder 8 for Phoenix and Clint Capella 13 for Atlanta. Assists, Chris Paul 13 assists and Trae Young 13 as well on the Atlanta side. Steals, Devin Booker had 2, DeAndre Hunter had 1, blocks, Mikal Bridges had 1, Lou Williams had 1. The team comparison, the Phoenix Suns shot field goals at 51.1%, 45 out of 88, where Atlanta shot 43.3%, 42 out of 97. 3 points, Atlanta shot 39.4%, 13 out of 33, and Phoenix Suns shot 32.6%, 14 out of 43. Free throws, Atlanta shot 87%, 20 out of 23, where the Suns shot 81%, 17 out of 21. The Phoenix Suns had a total of 26 assists, where the Atlanta Hawks had only 18. And if we understand, or if we take out the assists from Trey, 13, so the whole team made only 5 assists. So there is no game, there is no team play in this, just everything is led by Trey. So in rebounds, here we had a lot of rebounds in this game. So Atlanta had 50 total and Phoenix Suns had 42 rebounds. Atlanta had 3 steals, where the Phoenix Suns had 8 steals in total. Atlanta made only 1 block, where the Phoenix Suns made 6 blocks. Now Atlanta turned the ball over 12 times and Phoenix Suns turned the ball over same amount, 12 times. And Phoenix Suns committed 22 fouls and Atlanta committed only 16 fouls in comparison. The attendance was 15,412. Now, Atlanta is 12th in conference with 4 wins and 6 losses on a losing streak of 3 games, and Phoenix Suns are 4th with a season score of 5 wins and 3 losses on a 4-game winning streak. And the last game, LA Lakers against Portland Trailblazers, and here we have a score of 90 for Lakers to 105 for Portland Trailblazers. So Lakers lost big time in Portland, and by quarters it was following. First quarter, Lakers 14 and Portland had 36. So this is already, game was already finished in our opinion in this quarter. But let's check out other quarters. Second quarter, Lakers 22, Portland only 15. The third quarter again, Lakers 26, Portland 42, and then the slow fourth quarter with already huge advantage, Lakers 28 and Portland 12. Now let's see who were the game leaders. For Portland, it was Damian Lillard with 25 points, and on the opposing side, it was Malik Monk with 13 points. In rebounds, 17 rebounds for Yusuf Nurkic, and DeAndre Jordan had 9 rebounds. In assists, Damian Lillard had 6 assists, where Russell Westbrook had 6 assists. Steals, Dennis Smith Jr. had 4 steals, Russell Westbrook had 2 steals. In blocks, Norman Powell had 2 blocks, Carmelo Anthony had 2 blocks. Now let's see a team comparison. The Portland shot field goals at 37.9%, 36 out of 95, where the Lakers shot 34.4%, 31 out of 90. 3 points, the Portland shot at 27.3%, a terrible percentage, 15 out of 55, and Lakers had a similar terrible percentage at 3-pointers, 28.1%, 9 out of 32. Free throws, Portland had 75%, 18 out of 24, and Lakers had 79.2%, 19 out of 24. Assists, Portland had a total of 22 assists, Lakers had a total of 20 assists. Portland had a total of 52 rebounds, Lakers had 59 rebounds. Portland had 14 steals, Lakers had only 8 steals. Portland made 7 blocks, Lakers made 6. The Portland turned the ball over 11 times, Lakers turned the ball over 19 times, and the Lakers committed 17 fouls, where the Portland committed 21 fouls. And the game attendance was 19,393. Now let's check the box score here, because he's That's what's going to be interesting probably for people to see why and how long did Anthony Davis play and so on. So here we have a strange mix. We have total of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Lakers players in double minute digits, which only tells us that coach was searching and did not have a plan and didn't really know what to do, in our opinion. So we want to say that Anthony Davis played only 7 minutes and 9 seconds. In that time, he made only 2 points, had 3 rebounds, shot field goals at 1 of 5, 20%, and all 3 rebounds were offensive rebounds, and he was total in the 7 minutes minus 11. Now, Russell Westbrook spent the most time on the court with 29 minutes and 29 seconds, and he made 8 points in that time with 9 rebounds and 6 assists, had 2 steals, and received 2 blocks, had 2 blocks on him, and he shot incredible field goal. So he had 13 field goal attempts and made 1. So a field goal percentage of 7.7%. This is not acceptable in professional sport. So that would be that. He was minus 20, and all the other players in the double minutes digits were Bradley with 22 minutes, the other Jordan with 20 minutes, Bazemore with 19 minutes, Carl Anthony with 26 minutes, Ellington with 25 minutes, Reeves 24.33 minutes, Monk 21 minutes or 22 minutes, Howard 14 minutes and 44 seconds, Rondo 12 minutes and 35 seconds, and as we said, there are another 3 players that played. Anthony Davis 7 minutes 9 seconds, Huff 8 minutes 3 seconds, and Damboya 8 minutes 3 seconds. So that would be that, and we are wrapping up the team statistic. We want to say that Lakers are now 10th in conference with a score of 5 wins and 5 losses on a 2-game losing streak, and the Portland is 8th in conference with a season score of 5 wins and 5 losses, same as Lakers, on a 2-game winning streak. Now we are going to move and to see who's leading different categories where we follow the excellence and we follow the best players in different segments in league, which will give us the MVP candidates after the 19th game day and after the 6 games that were played on November 6th. Now welcome to our presentation of the official leaders for regular season 21-22, NBA 75, after the 6 games on November 6th, which was the 19th game day of the season. As we yesterday we introduced a new category. We introduced a formula that we will present in a later point, and this formula will give us the statistical MVP or the MVP 5-on-5 MVP of the league. What is also important to add is after the 19th game day, we have a new total of 441 players that officially played, And here we go to the 5-on-5 MVP race and leaders in moment. Leader with 41.07 points is Nikola Jokic. After him, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo with 39.12, followed by Chris Paul with 38.16, and followed by Stephen Curry with 36.96 5-on-5 MVP points. And if you can pause the video at the moment and check out the other players. Now let's move to this statistic. This points is the hour, and now let's move to official NBA efficiency per game leaderboard. So leader in efficiency points per game is also Nikola Jokic with 35.33. The second place is Giannis Antetokounmpo with 32.11. At the third place we have Kevin Durant with 31.22. At fourth place we have Paul George with 28.13. At the fifth place we have Rudy Gobert with 28 efficiency points, followed by Jonas Valanciunas with 27.80 efficiency points, and then followed by Jimmy Butler with 27.44, and then Anthony Davis with 26.80, Karl Anthony Towns with 26.38, Domantas Sabonis with 26.30, Julius Randle 26.22, Stephen Curry 26, and so on. Now, as you saw, we moved to Player Impact Estimate, PIE, and here we have leader Nikola Jokic as well with 25.6. Player Impact Estimate, Giannis Antetokounmpo at second place with 22.1. Kevin Durant at third place with 21.6. And then Rudy Gobert 19.1, Jimmy Butler 18.8, Paul George 18.6, Bam Adebayo 17.8, DeMar DeRozan 17.5, Montrezl Harrell 17.3, Al Horford 17.1, and so on. Now let's move on to PER. This is player efficiency rating, and here we have also Nikola Jokic leading this segment with 33.9 points, followed by Giannis Antetokounmpo with 32.2, followed by Jimmy Butler with 28.7. Then we have Kevin Durant with 28.4, Montrezl Harrell with 26.2, DeMar DeRozan 26, Richaun Holmes with 25.9, Anthony Davis 25.5, Rudy Gobert 25.2, Joel Embiid 24.7, and so on. Now let's move to fantasy point per game. Leading this segment, the NBA fantasy points per game, is Giannis Antetokounmpo with 53.7. Second place we have Nikola Jokic with 53, followed by Paul George with 51.1, Kevin Durant 48.6, LeBron James 47.3 fantasy points, Anthony Davis 47.1 real fantasy points, Stephen Curry 46.5, Julius Randle 46.1, DeJounte Murray 46.1, and Jimmy Butler 45.6, Luka Doncic 45.2, and so on. Now let's move on to box plus minus. So here we are at box plus minus. Here we have Nikola Jokic leading as well with 13.1 box plus minus score, followed by Giannis Antetokounmpo with 11.5, Jimmy Butler at third place with 9, Kevin Durant fourth place with 7.8, and then followed by Montrezl Harrell 4.7, DeMar DeRozan 3.9, Richaun Holmes 3.5, Anthony Davis is here with 1.5. This is a mistake. Rudy Gobert 4.2, and so on. Now we are at the net rating leaders, and here we have to add that we have made it only for the players that average more than 12 minutes per game. And here is leading the table is Nerlens Noel from New York with 32.1 net rating points for 21.1 minutes per game playtime. Then we have Solomon Hill with 26.9 score for 14.1 minutes per game. Then at the third place we have Derek Jones Jr. with 26.6 net rating for 15.4 minutes per game. Then we have Nemanja Bjelica with 26.2 net rating for 15.5 minutes per game. Then we have Ty Jerome with 25.5 for 15.1 minutes. Then we have Hassan Whiteside at 25.3 for 16.2 minutes per game. Then we have Andre Iguodala with 22 net rating points for a total of 20.5 minutes, and so on. This will be interesting because maybe this will give us the sixth player of the year. We will keep following and tracking this stat. Now we are at the VORP, value over replacement player. This category leader is also Nikola Jokic with total of 1.1 points, Giannis Antetokounmpo with 1 point, Jimmy Butler 0.9, Kevin Durant 0.8, Patty Mills 0.7, and then we have a few players with 0.5, Stephen Curry, Karl Anthony Towns, Chris Paul, DeMar DeRozan, LaMelo Ball, Harrison Barnes, Montrezl Harrell, Jarrett Allen, John Collins, and so on. So now let's move to usage rate. Here we also had a request to follow only the players with 12 minutes per game average and more, and with that requirement, the leader is Donovan Mitchell with 36.1% usage rate for 32.6 minutes per game. At the second place we have Luka Doncic with 35.4% usage rate for 34.6 minutes per game. Then we have Giannis Antetokounmpo with 34.4% usage rate at 31.3 minutes per game. Then we have Patty Mills with 34.2% for 25.4 minutes. Then we have Bradley Beal with 33.8% usage rate. Then Devin Booker with 32.6%. Joel Embiid with 32.6% as well. Caris LeVert with 32.5% usage rate, Kevin Durant with 32.3%, Ja Morant with 32.1%, Stephen Curry with 32.1%, Trae Young with 31.7%, Jason Tatum with 31.4%, and so on. Now we are at the win share, and we have Jimmy Butler leading the win share with 2.1 points, Nikola Jokic at second place with 2.0, Giannis Antetokounmpo 1.7, as does Montrezl Harrell and Rudy Gobert. Then we have Kevin Durant with 1.6, as the DeMar DeRozan has. Then we have two players with 1.5, Harrison Barnes and Jared Allen. Then we have a few players with two players with 1.4, John Collins and Richaun Holmes, and followed by Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, and so on. Now let's see who's leading the league in points per game. We want to add here that average for all players is 8.3. So the leader in points per game is Kevin Durant with 28.3, followed by Paul George with 27.9, then Giannis Antetokounmpo with 27.1, DeMar DeRozan with 26.8, Zach LaVine with 26.4, Donovan Mitchell 26.4 as well, Stephen Curry 25.8, Jaylen Brown 25.6, Nikola Jokic 25.4, Ja Morant 25.2, Brandon Ingram 25, Luka Doncic 24.9, LeBron James 24.8, Jimmy Butler 24.7, and so on. So now we are going to see who's leading the most rebounds per game segment. So as we see, the Rudy Gobert is still leader in this category with 16.2 rebounds per game, followed by Jonas Valanciunas with 14.2 rebounds per game, followed by Nikola Jokic with 13.4 rebounds per game. Then we have Christian Wood with 13, Bam Adebayo 12, Yusuf Nurkic 11.9, Clint Capella 11.4, Julius Randle 11.3, as does DeAndre Ayton have, Jared Allen 11.1, Anthony Davis 11, Domantas Sabonis 11, Richaun Holmes 11, Nikola Vucevic 10.8, and so on. Now let's move to assists per game leader. In segment assists per game, average for league is 1.8 per player, and here we have Chris Paul, assist doctor assist, with leading this with 12.1 assists per game, and it looks like he's not going to give up his leading position in this segment. He's followed by Trae Young with 9.6 assists per game. Then we have James Harden with 9, Damian Lillard with 8.5, DeJounte Murray with 8.2, Russell Westbrook 7.9, Darius Garland 7.9, Kyle Lowry 7.5, Ja Morant 7.1, as does the Fred VanVleet have, Malcolm Brogdon 7, LaMelo Ball 7, LeBron James 7, Draymond Green 6.9, and so on. Now let's move on to steals per game. So leader in steals per game with 3.1 steals per game is Gary Trent Jr. from Toronto Raptors, followed by Paul George with 3 steals per game. Then we have Chris Paul with 2.3 steals per game, with an equal score with LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, Alex Caruso, and Matthias Thybulle from 76ers. Then we have Marcus Smart with 2.2 steals per game, DeJounte Murray 2.1 steal per game, Chris Middleton with 2 steals per game, as does the Sekou Doumbouya have. He played only one game, but managed in those 8 minutes to bring some big numbers for 8 minutes for Lakers. So that would be recap for steals per game. Let's move now to blocks per game. Leading the most blocks per game is Brook Lopez with 3 blocks, followed by Miles Turner with 2.7 blocks, Al Horford with 2.6, Anthony Davis 2.1, as the Mobamba from Magic have, Robert Williams III with 1.9, Daniel Gafford with 1.9 as well, Giannis Antetokounmpo 1.8, as does the Kristaps Porzingis have, and Jaren Jackson Jr., and then we have a few players with 1.7. So let's move now to see who's making the most turnovers per game. Leading with most turnovers per game is James Harden with 4.9, as with the same score as Russell Westbrook. Then we have Kevin Porter Jr. from Houston Rockets with 4.7. Then we have Paul George with 4.4, Karl Anthony Towns 4.3, as Luka Doncic also 4.3, LeBron James 4.2, Ja Morant as well 4.2, Darius Garland 4.1, Nikola Jokic 3.8, Stephen Curry as well 3.8, as does the Bradley Beal have, and so on. Now we have developed this true efficiency shooting percentage, which gives us a shooting percentage per value of the shooting. And here we have we also made the criteria for players which average 12 or more points per game. Leading this segment, we have Rudy Gobert with a true efficiency shooting of 71.57%. And as we can see, he is shooting field goals at 74.1%. He is not shooting 3 points. He is shooting free throws at 66.2%. And that would give him the layup and dunking percentage of 71.57. Then at the second place we had Richaun Holmes averaging 15.9 points per game with a true efficiency shooting of 70.98%. Then after that we have Jared Allen with 69.19%, Montrezl Harrell with 65.81%, LaMarcus Aldridge with 64.65%, and so on, Jacob Poeltl. And then we have the first player that comes up with more than 20 points is Nikola Jokic with 25.4 points, with a true efficiency shooting of 60.71%, shooting field goals at 59.9%, shooting three-pointers at 40%, shooting 2 points at 67.2%, and shooting for free throws 82.2%. The next player who averages more than 20 is Jimmy Butler, with a true efficiency shooting percentage of 58.25%, and he's shooting field goals at 52.7%, 3 points at 23.1%, 2 points 56.1%, and free throws 84.4 points. So we hope that this is super interesting for you and that you have been updated with some newest statistics. This helps us follow the efficiency, proficiency, quality, impact, and all other aspects of all players. And in our opinion, the MVP after the 19th game day is Nikola Jokic. We will keep updating you after each game day with leaders in all these different categories, and we truly hope that you will support us, and the best way to do that is by subscribing to our channel. If you would like to get notified when we publish a new game day recap, you can click on a bell and it will notify your YouTube account that there is a new video that you can watch. And if you would like us to make some comments on your favorite player or your favorite team, please do not hesitate and tell us that in comments. And we wish you a great day. And until the next time, all the best. And see and hear you soon. Bye bye from NBA 5 on 5.